Hello everyone, my name is Yingkun Chu and today I will talk about my project, Privacy Preserving System. My name is Yingkun Chu and so let's begin. This is a catalog. Catalog have four parts. The first section is abstract. The second, section 2 is research background. And section 3 is concept development stage, and section 4 is challenges. So let's look at the first part, section 1. So today's area is an area of big data. All aspects of our life are inseparable from this data and information. So therefore, a very serious problem come into being: people's privacy security, which is a very difficult problem to solve because in the area of big data, there is a large amount of data and a wide variety of data. And the trend and the record of data are complex, but with the birth of privacy enhancing technologies, it becomes possible to solve. So this is also the meaning of my project. So next section is research background. As for research background, the most typical is that in recent years, people's words and deeds on the network have been recorded by the internet and big data, which will reflect people's social situation, living habits, lifestyles, reading habits in the form of data consumption habits and other information. So our whatever we do will make some data, and this data must be protected, or they can have some disasters. And this data can be easily mastered by various internet apps. So there are many problems. So we use some technique to do this. So the first one is privacy protection technology based on data distortion. It is a privacy protection technology that distorts sensitive data, but also keeps some key data and or attributes unchanged. So, for example, switching, adding some noise, and other techniques we used to process our original data sets and ensure that the disturbed data still maintains the statistical properties for data mining and other operations. So this is the one of our techniques to use to protect our security and our data. The second technology is privacy protection technology based on data encryption. It uses various encryption technologies to hide sensitive data in distributed environment, such as secure multi-party computing, disturbed anonymization, disturbed association rule mining, and disturbed clustering. So people use encryption all the time since the ancient times, and the encryption has become more and more complex and waste the consumption and time to make people to decrypt it. So now the encryption is very useful in many ways. So like we use data we transfer, or we storage our data. We always use encryption to encrypt our data, and when we will use it, or read it, we use the decryption to decrypt the data. There also maintain some containers so that if our data was engaged or changed, so when we decrypt our data, we will find out some differences, so that we will know that our data was changed, and we will use new data, or we transfer information again. The third technology is privacy protection technology based on data anonymization. So what does it mean? It conditionally publishes data according to specific conditions, such as not publishing some values of original data generalization. Let me explain it to you. What does it mean? That all of the data, when we transfer, not all the data was sensitive. So like your name or your ID, so not all the parts are needed to encrypt, because if we encrypt all our data, and there will be much of data to encrypt it, so we will spend more times, and we need more consumption to uh, compute, so it will waste more time. So we will just only need to encrypt the most important part in our data. So when we use it, it will become more useful and more efficient. So that's all. And next part is section 3, concept development stage. So in this stage, we have I designed 6 functions or 6 models to build my privacy system, preserve system. So I have 6 functions, or maybe more in after the midterm. So let's look at this function. The first one is data interception function. Uh, the main function of data interception function is to screen the external data of the system and efficiently intercept the spam data and harassment information in the extra data. What does it mean? It means that when we use phones, use our computers, our PC, we'll get a lot of information, some garbage information, some calls that we do need to, some advertisement we do need to. But how do we define this? We use these functions, like we build build a data set to storage this information. This is telephone numbers. This telephone numbers was sending garbage messages, and we gathering these messages and send to all the users. And what this one is a bad person. So like this, and all the people will know it, and so we will use this function to prevent that some people may be disturbed by these persons. Next is the transmission encryption function. This function is mainly to effectively ensure that personal information is not leaked or tampered when users use their personal equipment or network operation or communication with others. So like we use our phones to talk to another people, we send in messages and emails to other persons. Uh, there will be some problems that our message will be hacked or be changed by some other peoples. So we need this function, transmission encryption function, to encrypt our messages, encrypt our mails, or we'll do some more efficient ways to protect that our message will not change and was and not unlookable to outside. And the next function is storage encryption function. Its function is mainly a database security technology. So when the database main program is started, the extension plugin can be loaded to realize that there are two ways. And first one is encrypt the data before writing the data into storage media to realize that storage encryption data. And the next object is to decrypt the data before loading the data from the storage media into the memory to realize the decryption of the data. So this is two object of this storage encryption function. The fourth one is cloud security function. So it is one of the latest embodiment of information security in the network area. It integrates emerging technologies and concepts such as parallel processing, grid computing, and unknown virus behavior judgment. It will be like big data time that we are not only one of the well in the we are not only one in the internet. We have other people's. We change our information each other all the time, and we have a big cloud computing data center to compute each one of them transmissions, their times, and their encryption. And we all have some sets like the PPT says parallel processing will save much time and be more efficient. And next one is system safety function. The system safety function is we apply system safety engineering and the system safety management method with the life cycle of the system. Identify hidden dangers in the system and take effective control measures to minimize the risk so as to make the system achieve the best safety degree with a specific performance, time, and cost range. So, like the firewall defenses. So our system is also a system. It also needs to be protected. So we need to build a firewall to define some attack like DOS, DDoS, and so on. So these many attacks can attack our system. If our system was attacked or it was blocked out like this, and our system and our users function will not be existed. So this is a very important one. Next is traceability function. So the tracing function refers to the process of obtaining the identity, location, and other information of the network attacker or hacker, in which the identity refers to the attacker's name, account number, and other information that can prove his identity, and the location refers to the geographical location or virtual address in the network, such as IP address, MAC address, and so on. In the process of tracing the source, we can also obtain other auxiliary information, including attack path and attack sequence. So what does it mean? It means that we need to attract to the attacker, need to punish them, and there will also be some problem that if our method that we trace back to the attacker that way is legal, that it will be a problem. So, and it also be pretty hard to track back to the attacker, because that our routers, all the routers in all the component must be artificial. It will have many functions that provides us the ability to trace the data through in all of the roads in through these routers. So we need many high-level routers, and also we need people to sort this to handle this data. This will be a very large data, so it will also need more time and more people to do this. And it's not easy. We spend much time. The last part is challenges. So we need to establish a distributed backlist for sending spam message and making harmless calls. But the challenge we encounter here is how to judge whether the information is true or not. There will be some users that they just on purpose to make some report to some other users that these users are good users. So this is just on purpose to do this. So and there will be problems. So we can how do we deal with it? So we can just make some judgments or make some reliable the third ways to make other people to believe them, and their reports will be tested, and we will test their report that if these users are really bad users. So that's it. That is my midterm report.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Yinkun Qu, and today I will continue to my final report. We will go next with our uh, midterm report. So let's continue look at section 5. This is a engineering development stage, and in this stage I will show the specific operation process and the precisions of the model in the 6 functions I mentioned in the previous lecture. So let's look at the first one. It's called data interception function, and I look at the shown in the figures. First, we establish a database. The database needs to include a local database and a cloud database. The database stores the reporting information from various users about dangerous numbers and dangerous users. Each user stored his personal information in the local database. Then the information from the cloud database is also downloaded, and the local database will be uploaded to the synchronized to the cloud database regular to ensure that each user can will be matched with the information in the database before being transferred to the user. And then uh, we will use the terminal user to authorization to the trusted vendor to ensure that we can connect with other users through the trusted vendors. And then we can use a data encryption process, data distortion process, and data annotation process. Use these technologies to encrypt our data and exchange messages with trusted users. So this is one section. And the second section is transmission encryption section. In these sections, we user A and user B establish a session and start communication. The third-party platform in the middle is optional because sometimes only the two sides establish a connection channel. We don't need a third-party platform. So, but in this case, we included in. So, generally speaking, trusted third parties are considered to be trusted in the process of the data transmission. But there are also cases where intermediaries are hacked by hackers to disclose data. I will cover both cases here. So users A encrypts data to a trusted third party, and then the trusted third party sends a ciphertext to user B, and user B deciphers the ciphertext to obtain plain text. When hackers attack, they may simulate as an intermediary to cheat user A's ciphertext and send its ciphertext to user B. The intermediary can choose to crack A's ciphertext, but the cost of cracking is very high, so hackers usually don't do this, but the general rule is to pretend to be an intermediary and then obtain the symmetry case of an A and B stepping channels with the intermediary respectively. So this is a process. So way solution is to adapt a high strain and secure symmetry key systems such as a DAS3 AES algorithm. And here we need to understand that the security of the algorithm is not only the algorithm can be cracked by the cost, and it should be balanced. If the cost is too much, it would be called the security algorithm. So this is the second transmission encryption function. And then we'll talk about the storage encryption function. In this storage encryption functions, we use set hard disk SHD encryption technology as a main encryption method of the database. But using this technology also requires key MC system, so need to effectively encapsulate the encryption technologies as to achieve better result. We also use the trust third party as a key managed server. And the storage device integrates the key management client. So by integrating the application host, firstly we conduct the interactive authentication with the key managed server use AK and DEK security keys. AK is a key to access to the desk, and the DEK is a key to the encryption. When they're ready to use, KMC will assign a key to a CD encryption desk and then match the obtained OK with the AK set. If match is successful, it means that the authentication is successful. And then we use encrypted data to interact with the upper application host through this. This complete storage encryption function ensures that storage security of our data to a certain extent and has an authentication link, so we can ensure the security of data transmission to a certain extent. That's all for the storage encryption function. And next we'll also talk about the cloud security function. In this, the cloud security function, the feature of these schemes are first with the risk are shared equally among each cloud terminals. Traditionally, we just only use one cloud terminals, but there's a great risk. So we use this function. We can divide the risk and divide these risks into all of the machines. Moreover, it can realize the control of unauthorized users' access to this desk space and administrators' illegal access to virtual machine storage. And secondly, this can be used to control all client cloud terminals to prevent data leakage caused by external access, such as social software or email or something. Last but not least, it can also monitor the data of end users. So use this, we can still track this message and Third, we can starting from the network layer. The schemes equipped this data packet encapsulated by the network card. Finally, the function has a greater portability and versatility. So this collaborative management of various terminal networks, such as ordinary PC, cloud desktop, and they can use all of them. And the Internet of Things terminal can adapt to overall office and the development of current enterprise and build an integrated data security system. And next is a system safety function. Safety function. We will use equipment security, data security, cloud security, and behavior security. These have their own names. Equipment is damage to physical equipment, cause a fatal blow to our private system. And data security is to take measures to prevent data from being damaged or changed by unproved users. And third one, the content security means the data content must be secure. The data must comply with the relevant laws and the code of. This is because of the content of data transmitted illegally. So, but it will cause negative effects to the all the world and all the people read this content. Behavior security is actually a kind of dynamic security, and this is system safety function. And the last part is traceability function. Traceability function, we use two schemes. First is called the track technology according to requirements, and the second one is called the data flow tracking based on simulator. The first one is we visualize this environment architecture. We use virtual machine, but we can not trace the data and run the programs on the virtual machine at the same time. So only thing we can do is when we will trace this when virtual machines, we transfer it to another simulators, and it can still work. The program that still run in the original virtual machines, and we can still trace the data on them. And when it's finished, we release these resources and give it back. Another time we do it again. And the second technique is called the data flow tracking based on the simulators. So we must make the stain data in the system, and we design a program that can filter the stain data. The program will mark all the stain data in the data flow. When we mark the stain data, we will look for relevant instructions to control and guarantee and generate the stain data. And run the system in the simulator. The system has a dynamic binary translation system, which can translate the instruction that generate trained data. In the process of translation, it can track the data flow of the whole system. This is the third part of this. And go next is post-development stage. So in this post-development stage, so the scheme is to we develop these 6 functions one by one. First, we need to develop this as a system safety function, because this is the basics of the whole system. And then we will develop the interception function, transmission encryption functions, storage encryption functions, because these 3 functions are the most basic function of our data privacy protection function. And then it's data storage, transmission security, finally 那个 cloud security function and traceability function because cloud security function is huge work, needs a lot of money and a lot of professional technology. We need to collaborate with other companies. We need more time, much money to develop this. So this is hard to do it, but so we put it in the last part. So in this section we'll talk about the summary and the lessons. Summaries is the we put our idea in this system. We gradually produced these functions one by one. We design the specific function, and we design one by one, and we specific these functions, and in the post-develop period, we carried the specific implementation, and we will know the exact technologies we need, the time we consume by each function, and money. Okay, is also important. Finally, constitute the system we expect. Finally, is lessons we learned. So in this course, I have a clear understanding of this about the system engineering. So this is a development about system and not it's a little bit different in what we do project in our school because what we do our in our school in the class is academically is theoretically. So this is a little bit difference because in the real time we need to figure it out what time do we need to develop this no matter app or productor or the time we need and the money we need, the technology which we will use. This technology is if it is mature enough to use or anytime it could be problems because some part is not finished and then we need to start the next stage uh, to develop this app. So there are many problems here. So this course for me and this project for me is a good experience to work projectly. So it's a really helped for me and that's all. And another part I have described previously in the midterm. So that's it. Thanks for listening.